Good stuff? All right, again, happy Huddle Monday. Thank you to everybody who were not here last week. We were in the Bronx. Who can tell us how we were in the Bronx last week that joined us? Ernest?
Yes.
Why were we in the Bronx last week?
It was about election and voting and the vote for the right people.
Okay.
But one man who stood out among everybody, if you're from the Bronx, listen to this. Michael Blake.
Michael Blake, that's right. All right, so let's start off with and again, thank you to everybody who joined us in the Bronx at Sharon Baptist Church. It was the New York District 15 Congressional Forum. Michael Blake, Richie Torres, and two other candidates were all supposed to attend. Everybody was 4 candidates supposed to attend. Only one came, Michael Blake. And he stood his ground. He did not cower. He answered everybody's questions. He engaged everyone. He took up the entire time before the forum. So this is before the clap up of Michael Blake. He stated it was 10 and being true to forum. And as he said, we don't endorse candidates, but just remember those who showed up for you to show up for them when you go and vote. All right. Also, prayers to Mother Chapman. I'm glad she's in the building today. Mother Cheryl Chapman, raise your hand. She had some trouble on Saturday, so we missed her after down here. We're glad to see her back in the building. We love you, Mother Chapman. All right. Also, thanks to those who supported this past Saturday, the Action Rally, but also the Warm Love on the Block Community Day. And it was on 115th Street, where Stephanie McGraw and the Warm Domestic Organization, Domestic Violence, Anti-Domestic Violence Organization, had their annual Love on the Block event for Gun Violence Awareness Month. We love Stephanie and the work that she does, and we love that she supports the community. And the NYPD was out there with him that Sunday to give back. It was their public safety day with her, so thank you to those. I know a few people went out to support that. All right, we're going to jump into it tonight. If you don't see, we're missing our Minister Christian, our president. Tonight he is at the Knicks game. He got a ticket from him. And also our national president, Now Sharpton, is also at the Knicks game. So we got back up early so you can see the spot red. And also Trump is there as well. So So anybody Knicks fans here? All right, yeah, we love you. Jay, relax. All right, but we definitely LeBron James is not playing tonight. Not playing, so sorry. All right. Anyway, let's focus up. I want to ask. Oh, hi, my loves. I think we see you. And Usi's in the room. How are you? Good to see you. We want to ask some of the Chapman if you can help us come to the front to lead prayer tonight. I know that's usually Minister Christian's job. You want to come and lead prayer tonight? Or you want me to bring the mic to you?
Go right down.
Want me to bring the mic to you? No? What's up, Jay? Okay. All right, let's clap her up when she comes. As she comes out, I'll say the scripture to give us some time. Our opening scripture, can you please stand for the reading of scripture? It is from the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verses 7 through 10. This is the NIV version. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Let us not become weary in doing good, but at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and understanding of His name. All right, Mother Chapman is going to lead us in prayer.
Good evening. Please bow your heads. Father God, I want to thank you for letting us all in here safe. Father God, I want to thank you for letting me make it to the hospital. I still have things going on. Father, I know you look what you want from me, and you want to do what you fix it that you want to do. Father God, I'm asking you to please bless this person that's here. Let this huddle be what you want it to be. Let us come here to be as friends, as family, and worship together. These things are answered in Son Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you. All right, is Ocean here? If not, Dan is here, our creative contributor. He's going to lead us and lift up his voice and sing. Glad to see him back in the building. And whoever would like to join him in singing, please come up now. Here you go now. Let's clap him up as he comes.
Amen. Those joining me to sing, please come up now. Whosoever will cry right now. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let all rejoice, sing, rise high as a listening sky. Let it resound loud and long. Listen, sing a song full of the faith that the dark has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the presence has. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you, Dan. I don't know if that was passion. I don't know. All right. Thank you. Calm back down. All right. So we're going to jump into our announcements and action alerts in the Black History Fact of the Day. Oops, would you mind helping me do the Black History Fact of the Day, please? We need some help tonight. Let's clap him up as he comes. Thank you. Introduce yourself to those who don't know.
Hello everyone, my name is Usman Diallo, Ashley's assistant. And I'll be reading the Black History Fact of the Day. 1886, Homer A. Plessy, a light-complexioned black man, refuses to leave the white section of the New Orleans Railroad car and move to the colored section. His Rosa Parks type refusal set in motion a legal case which eventually reached the United States Supreme Court. In its May 1896 ruling, the court decided against Plessy and thus confirmed the segregationist doctrine of separate but equal. The ruling also had the effect of treating anyone with any black blood as black. The court never actually ruled on Plessy's claim that he was 7/8 white and only 1/8 black, and thus should not be treated as a color under the laws of that day. 1968, James Earl Ray. The man convicted of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King is captured at an airport in London using a false Canadian passport. Ray would spend the rest of his life trying to withdraw his guilty plea, charging that his brother and a mysterious man he met in Montreal, Canada, named Raoul, were actually the ones involved in killing Dr. King. He claimed that he did not personally shoot Dr. King, but suggested he knew beforehand about the conspiracy to assassinate him. Ray died in prison in April 1998. 1982, one of the greatest athletes to ever play the game of baseball, Satchel Paige, died in Kansas City, Missouri. Paige had played in the old Negro baseball leagues and went unrecognized by Major League Baseball and the general public for decades. He was finally voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1971. And those are the Black History Facts.
thank you. And Usman, who's being humble, he is one of the chief aides to Assemblyman Al Taylor. So if you go to Albany, usually anybody I know who's going to Albany has seen Us running around running things, helping to run things. So let's clap him up. I'm so proud of him. Very humble. And he's doing his thing. And he also got a birthday coming up. Gemini season. I didn't forget it. Any other Geminis in the building? All right. Let it relax. All right, it's also Gun Violence Awareness Month. June is Gun Violence Awareness Month, so happy Gun Violence Awareness Month. Our Guns Down Like Buck family is here, so we always are happy to see them. Our last Monday of this month, we're going to have a special presentation from some of our partners for Gun Violence Awareness Month, and it's also Men's Mental Health Month. So we're going to have a special presentation next week about Men's Mental Health Month, and we're also going to be doing things a little different. There's a Faith Leaders virtual briefing at 7 p.m. next Monday. So we're going to have a special presentation about Men's Mental Health Month. So we're going to start exactly at 6 o'clock. And then at 7, we're going to watch together the Faith Leaders virtual briefing with Reverend Al Sharpton, Congressman Jim Clyburn, and a few other, Glenn Ivey, and a few other faith leaders who will join them. So we're going to set it up and we're going to watch it together and eat together. So you can bring some friends if you want for next Monday. And I think that will be our last Monday here at the Harlem Commonwealth Council. Let's just clap up on the Commonwealth for their hospitality. We're here temporarily. Of course, we're today Christian, Lisa, and David, our staff, who's here every day, just for basically shifting. Change is a good thing. And now we're shifting to our new building in the next 2 weeks, and we're excited about that. It's literally 1 block away on 124th Street. Thank you to those who already given pledges of $500. And salute to our leader, national president and founder, Reverend Al Sharpton, for making it happen. We now have ownership in Harlem. We've never owned the building, we've never owned the office space. Let's clap that up for more ownership. That's kind of reason for very good to make sure it happens. And thank you to our board as well. And I know our COO, Reverend Malcolm Bird, also had a lot to do with finding that building and maybe helping to secure it. So salute to our leadership. All right, let's jump into the announcements. I have a few announcements, so bear with me and be patient, and then we'll get into our digital notes, because again, I know some people want to go home and watch the game and get out of, some people just want to get out of the city. Delaney Hall, anybody heard of Delaney Hall? What's going on with Delaney Hall? All right, thank you for that. Basically, the call to action right now around Delaney Hall is that it needs to close. Reverend Sharpton joined New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill, Newark Mayor Raj Baraka, and Pastor Steffi Bartley, who was our New Jersey lead, in calling for the Delaney Hall Immigration Detention Facility to be shut down. As federal immigration authorities escalate tensions in Newark, New Jersey, NAN remains fully committed to protecting the process achieved through collective action, principled advocacy, and sustained community engagement. Our chapters and Pastor Bartley have been out there at the protest. And we were making sure there were some, people inciting violence, but now an hour in, I'm just trying to make sure that the protests are just, but also that the message is not being lost. What's going on there is absolutely asinine. NAN and the Attorney General's office remain actively involved on the ground, working alongside local supporters and stakeholders to ensure that the voices of Newark's residents are heard, respected, and acted upon. We continue to urge all supporters and participants to remain peaceful, disciplined, and resolute as the situation unfolds. Peaceful protest is a cornerstone of this movement, and it must remain so. Amid growing concerns surrounding the facility, Governor Mikey Sherrill, Mayor Baraka, and Pastor Bartley joined Reverend Sharpton on Politics Nation on MS Now to address the ongoing situation at Delaney Hall. Governor Sherrill reiterated her call to close Delaney Hall, while Mayor Baraka echoed that call and underscored Newark's proud and long history of peaceful protests. Pastor Bartley highlighted NAN's ongoing work on the ground, including helping families navigate visitation issues. Following the arrest outside of Delaney Hall, NAN recognizes the very real concerns, emotions, and uncertainties that surround these events, as well as the concerns about the treatment within the ICE facility itself. Our focus remains steadfast, supporting the Newark community, standing with the Newark community, and advocating for the Newark community. So our prayers goes out to all the families that's involved, but we're also standing with the protesters and standing with our chapter out there to make sure that they are all right and know that they have our full support. And did anyone join the National Clergy Call last week? All right, so it was last Monday as well. It was led by our own board chairman, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson and Reverend Sharpton, our NAN religious affairs leaders, Reverend Nelson Rivers and then Trudy Lucas. There will be another one in July, so make sure you guys look out for that forum. It's about 216 clergy on the call, and basically they all signed up to be leadership for the March on Washington as we galvanize around that, but also to lead voting brigades to get out the vote ahead of midterm elections. So if your faith leader was not on, make sure you share with them, even if you don't join, share with your faith leader. Your denomination does not matter, to join us and make sure they join the July call as we prepare to continue to get out the vote, but also prepare for our March on Washington, which is happening on what day? August 28th, that's right. Y'all all should be screaming that. August 28th, we all going to be to Washington for our national march on Washington to address everything that's been going on under this administration. And that was called by Reverend Sharpton last month, and we're going to continue galvanizing and organizing. If you need to sign up, if you need more information, you can visit nationalactionnetwork.net or call 1-877-626-4651 at any time, because we really need everybody of all ages, of all races, to come and join us for that day. Everyone's on Politics Nation. It's just a reminder for you to watch Politics Nation on MS9. On what days does that show come on? Saturday and Sunday. All right, just make sure I'm in the right place at 5 p.m. Make sure you tune in. There's a lot of information that's happening, and nobody delivers it like Reverend Sharpton, and he makes sure he brings the guests so that we all know what's going on and what's going right. The NAN Saturday Action Rally. Reverend Sharpton delivered yet another powerful keynote address. And NAN Saturday Action Rally, the weekly gathering, is also broadcast live via Impact TV, WBLS 107.5, as well as on NAN YouTube and Facebook pages. And not just the rally. I know our own Sister Wale is a critical listener on our Keeping It Real radio show. Sometimes Dominique is on there as a host, but it's very, very interesting. It comes on every day on weekdays. Our own brother Damien, Andre Walters, he's at a hearing, a public, a housing hearing tonight, so he's not joining us, but he's one of our young adult leaders. But he called in last week and talked with Greg on the air and talked about his effort that he did with Mary Purnell when they went to D.C. To protest with Popular Democracy, right? That's the name of the group, right? And I was proud that he got on there and talked about it. So a lot of us have issues. A lot of people like to text me, but you can take your issues right to the air. Literally, talk to Rev, engage with Rev. And if you challenge whatever issue you like, you can call the number. It's on there. You can write it on the live stream, the chat. It's on Facebook and YouTube. It's every day from 1 to 4 p.m. It was called Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. And we welcome you to engage, listen in, and call whenever you have the time. Now I have a few more announcements. Sorry, I told you I had a bunch. This one is about, first of all, it's about Cyrus Belton. Did anybody hear what happened with Cyrus Belton recently? Okay. And Rick Child? All right. So, in the summer of 2023, Rick Child, who's a convenience store owner, shot and killed 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton in the back as he ran from the store. Child, the store owner, claimed the teen was trying to steal a bottle of water from his Parkland Road business. The Richland County Sheriff's Department reported that Child and his son chased Belton from the store and continued going after him for 130 yards before he shot him. He was acquitted in the back, right, as he was running. He was acquitted this past Wednesday. So I can say that again, Rick Child was acquitted this past Wednesday, the one who shot him in the back, the 14-year-old in the back of his room.
They don't even allow police officers to shoot somebody in the back.
That's right. Say that again, say it one more time loud so you can hear you on the live stream. Say it again. He said they don't even allow police officers to shoot in the back. This man was a store owner, and if, I'm not saying the young man was innocent or not, Cyrus was innocent or not, but over a bottle of water, he lost his life, literally. Shot him in the back. And he was a convenience store owner, him and his son was shaking. Reverend Nelson Rivers, who is our National Vice President of Religious Affairs, said while they respect the rule of law and the jury's process, he refused to be silent over his disappointment in a not guilty verdict. This happened, in South Carolina. At the heart of this case is one fact that cannot be ignored, said Rivers. If the places were reversed, if the shooter and his son were black and the teen white, would the outcome have been the same? What do y'all think? No. Hold on, one section. And then Rutherford made it clear, Rutherford is the attorney for the Belton family, made it clear that the fight to hold someone accountable is not over. According to Rutherford, a civil lawsuit had to be put on hold while the criminal case proceeded. Now that it has come to an end, Rutherford says that they have officially filed for a civil lawsuit against Child. This was all at the news conference immediately after the hearing, after the verdict, was shared. And then there was a memorial for Belton that had to be taken down during the trial, but it was re-erected during a memorial held in Columbia. And then there were protests all weekend at the South Carolina State House that Reverend Rivers and Mount Tree Lucas was a part of. Shawana.
I don't know if anybody's been watching Instagram and TikTok and watching the Asian Americans and how they have talked about this case.
No.
Oh, it's been insanity. And there's an Asian woman who got on and said, if we knew how to raise our kids, if we knew how to do this, and I said,
And Rich Child is Asian, just so you know.
yeah. And I said, if we boycott Asians like we boycotted Target, then we could change the totality of how this country is ran.
Oh, I think I did see something about that on TikTok.
Yeah.
And basically they said if we wanted to boycott Asians, we couldn't prosper. From
Yes,
beauty supply
that's
stores,
exactly
the
what-
nail salons,
That's exactly
all of that.
what
They
she
said
said.
basically that black people couldn't survive
Yeah.
without Asian labor.
And I think that the next
That's
call,
exactly what they
and
said.
I think the next call from national leaders
I
should
agree
be
with that.
to boycott everything Asian.
I agree. It definitely, she's not lying, she's not happy.
We're
You can
gonna
find
go
what she
back to
does.
being natural.
That was not AI.
Because
Like, that
why
was
are
true.
we doing this?
That's a fact. I'm with you. Let's sit down and organize that. I'm with you. For real. They definitely did. I did see that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was related to this case
It was-
specifically. I didn't know where that
She
came from.
directly, I've seen so far 190 videos of all, they're going wild. And
That's absolutely crazy.
They're going wild.
Because a 14-year-old was shot in the back over a bottle of water. And that was the response.
And that's not the first time Rick Child shot people too. He shot a bunch of other people running away, fleeing from
That's crazy. From his store.
accusations that they were stealing something from his store.
And he's still free to tell the
He's still
story
free walking around.
and run his
And
store.
some of them had to go to the hospital and got like reporting them and all that. He's still cool.
So we have to take action against Brother Rick Child and exactly what you said about the Asian community. Yes, Tony B.
Yeah, about Asian boycott. I was 4 years old. My family went to the Chinese store before we get to the civic they started treating my family like they was racist. And so my grandmother and grandfather said, okay, let's get all the food and then leave the food here and get out of here. And that's what they did. Like, 1963, they did that. Man, I thought I saw anything about racism. So yeah, this ain't started.
Yeah, so basically he's reminding us this is not something new. And I don't want to put a blanket statement because that's ignorant, but certainly those who are putting it out there and talking real strong in their chest, we need to directly know who to target and then go at them specifically. Yes.
In the case where the guy got, with the young man got shot in the back,
Sorry.
when a person shoots you, if anybody shoots somebody, the police supposed to arrest that person until a certain amount of time goes by. Did
Right.
that happen?
No. And apparently because it's his store, they made it seem like the threat was Cyrus. And they tried to say that Rick Child was in, basically, he was just defending his store and basically his products. Sounds almost like Mike Brown as well. What happened to Mike Brown?
1967 riots in LA.
Mm.
Korean shot a girl in the head.
Mm.
Killed her, 67.
And that started around, you're right, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So it's good to know your history. But it keeps happening, so what are we going to do about it? Yes, Mr. Chapman.
I was gonna say, you know, I thought you some food outside. I heard a case where the job was brought in the house. The guy ran outside, he's trying to, the guy in the house, I robbed what he did. Because he was not.
Where did that happen?
Yeah, I think it was in Jersey.
Yeah, it's different laws, South Carolina, depends where you are. And that was another one, that also reminds me of Breonna Taylor, you go say, what, go ahead, sorry about that.
I hate to switch topics, but didn't this make an announcement about going to Albany?
Yes, they did. Is anybody from the Ernest, do you know about the trip Naomi is planning to Albany?
The trip to no, she was planning a trip that was supposed to be on Friday.
This past Friday or the coming up?
The past Friday, and they postponed it for another one, but it wasn't supposed to be a meeting I don't know if they went to Zoom or not.
Okay, well, we can find out. I know Dominique was working with Naomi and Christian, about that trip, but apparently it's supposed to be this past Friday, and it was postponed. If I get information, I'll email it to you too. But yeah, just keep the Belton family in your prayers, and just pay attention to how we're gonna take action around what happened and what's going on in that community and the responses, the crazy responses, going on in that community. And we're standing, of course, with Nelson B. Rivers and Trudy. We thank them for their leadership because they definitely have been with the family. Reverend Sharpton, they coordinated the call. Reverend Sharpton spoke to the family and the lawyer this past week as well. So we definitely are staying on that case. And it's, even though it happened in 2023, justice and accountability has not happened. So we have to stay on that as well. There's also good news, shifting a little bit. Does anybody remember Queen Jean? Anybody remember Queen Jean? Okay. All right, so Queen Jean, she spoke at the 2020 March on what? You don't remember Queen Jean, Osman? Okay. All right. So we met Queen Jean outside, literally. We met some of her protests in 2020, 2019. She was one of the few leaders who came out of nowhere, and she, if you've seen her perform, if you ever heard her speak, she is not to be ignored. She helped us to mobilize a lot of actions during that summer. She spoke at the 2020 March on Washington. I forgot, there was a Black Girls Matter March later that year. I want to say she was one of the lead organizers. A week ago at the FDR Drive, we marched all the way to Harlem from 34th Street, and we literally shut down the city. She was one of the leaders for that. But recently, well, I think yesterday was the Tony Awards, right, Dominique? Yeah. All right, so it says Queen Jean is the cat to the eye. She became the first openly transgender person to win a Tony Award, earning Best Costume Design of the musical Cats, the Jellicle Ball at the 2026 Tony Awards. So let's clap her up. And let's clap her up. She received 2 Tony nominations in 2026 for Cats, the Jellicle Ball, and Liberation, marking her first Tony nomination and first win. And she was the first openly transgender person to win a Tony Award in the 79-year history of the honors. So I just wanted to salute Queen Jean, and keep doing what you do, keep standing on business and being unapologetically yourself. And I'm just excited to see that because we know her, that's family, and she's been performing as well as advocating since I've known her, and she's never simmered down. It doesn't matter if it's 5 people watching her or now millions of people watching her. So salute to her and what she's doing. All right. We also have 2 other. I lost my paper. Sorry. Easy. Oh, sorry. Here we go. All right. So we're having legal night. Legal night is when? The last Thursday of the month. And the last Thursday of this month is the 25th. So legal night will be at the new building. Won't be here. Right? So we'll be at the new building. We're excited about that. And Attorney Smoking, of course, is hosting. It is the Michael A. Hardy Legal Nights. We love what Michael does. Experience always but we will have a special presentation. The judges are coming for the 25th. So make sure you're in the building. They're going to do a special presentation. There's 3 judges. They're all women. They're coming to do a special presentation for Legal Night. It starts at 6:45. Attorney Mo will be in the building. Yes, he will. Well, no, he will not be in the building because on the same night, Thursday the 25th, we will also be going to the Fight for World Cup match. Thanks to Airbnb, 15 young people and 15 of our young adult leadership will be going on behalf of the National Network down to the FIFA World Cup match. We're excited about that. We got that up. We thank Airbnb for that opportunity. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so some of us will be there and then some of us will be at Legal Night. Again, thanks to Airbnb for that. Tomorrow, everybody say tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a voter education workshop that is happening. That will be at Mother Annie Zion. That will not be here. It is at 6:30. 1 second. We handed out flyers and we have flyers outside at the rally this past Saturday. It was a voter education workshop in partnership with NAACP's New York branch, NCNW, Manhattan section, Educated Voter, MCBW 100, and CEC. We have 2 guest speakers, which is Nicole Yearwood of Educated Voter and Lori Danielle Favors of the Center for Law and Social Justice at Medgar Evers College, which is CUNY. It is tomorrow, 6:30 to 8:30. Doors open at 6 o'clock at Mother Annie Zion Church. We're meeting by the Rally on Saturdays, 140 West 137th Street. again at 6:30 p.m. and it ends at 8 p.m. If you would like you to register, you can also come and register on site. But the flyer is online as well, and you can also have it here if you just want to come to me and have me register on my phone for you. I'll send you the flyer. Well, we welcome everyone to come. Again, Huddle is a partner. Again, it's at 6:30, Mother Amy Zion Church, and we would love you to come to talk about, learn about voter education. It's a workshop with 2 special speakers. That's for tomorrow. And last but not least, is June 28th. June 28th is the 11th annual mini parade and fun day in the Bronx, and we were also invited to be a part of that and to walk in the parade and to also participate in Community Day. So if you have young people in your life, we want you to come out, participate. It's free. It's going to take over the whole block, and then they want us to walk in the parade as well to represent the man. And they have me as the Grand Marshal. I don't know why, but they have me as the Grand Marshal. So that's going to be fun. We're going to try to come out for that. And it's really a 11th annual mini parade and fun day. All right, I'm out of the way. I'm done of the announcements. And we are going to jump into our Did You Know segment. First, we're going to hear from Daniel about Brother Brian Flores. Then we're going to hear from, first is Dominic, excuse me. She's going to come and talk to you about the June primary. Who knows when early voting begins? June 13th, right. And who knows when the actual primary election in New York is? It's 20, all right. I'm ready for it. Y'all don't even need our voter education. Come on. Y'all already know. All right, that's good. But Dominique is going to come and talk about the June primary, and then Dan is going to follow her about Brian Flores, and then Attorney Mo is going to come talking about redistricting in the South. And then we have a special guest coming up with us. All right, Brother Marcus Allen is going to do a Did You Know tonight. Let's clap him up as they come.
Good evening, Marcus Allen said we skipped over good news.
I'm sorry.
So, he has good news. Marcus Allen, good news.
My good news is, well, I have 2 more weeks of 2nd grade. And the second good news is, well, maybe if you're a kid, you might know this, but for
Sunday.
new convocation, the show, I'm going to be included.
He's going to be in the youth convocation play on Sunday. For those of you who go to Canaan or want to worship at Canaan Baptist Church on Sunday, they have their youth convocation, and Marcus Al will be one of the featured young people performing. Yes, sir. Oh, he said to tell y'all who he's going to be playing, Young Jesus. Any other good news? Sorry. Any other good news? Crystal's coming. Wale is coming.
Ain't that good news? We gonna be doing what at this church? Oh, I know I'm going. Anyway, the good news is that keep being yourself, cause we got some severe haters out here. They don't like you. It could be family, strangers, anybody. I just heard somebody got shot on the bus. Shot dead. Listen, put down. Bow. Hours. Yes, ma'am. Brooklyn? I think it was Brooklyn or might be in the Bronx. Shot dead on the bus. You got all these haters out here, they don't like you, all this kind of thing. But keep doing you. Keep smiling. You know, because as long as we got the God who was taught to do, because sometimes we feel like we wonder. I know I do sometimes. But that's really all I got. That's the good news. That's what will keep you when everybody around you says bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sister. That's right. Good news. Thank God for every day that we are here to do some more important work. And with that said, I want to make sure everyone's aware of the June primary election. As she was talking about it, knows the early voting dates and of course when our election day is. But here's some more information that we want you to know before you vote. So New York City voters will head to the polls, as we stated, on Tuesday, June 23rd, to select candidates for Congress, New York State Controller, the State Senate, State Assembly, and more. But here's everything that we should know before we cast our ballot. So, when is the deadline for a new voter to register? Say that louder, please, because you were correct, Mr. Ernest Waters. What was the date you said?
The 18th?
The 18th? No. Yeah, it is June 13th. So June 13th, we start early voting, but that is also the last day that you can register in person if you are not registered to vote as of yet. You have until June 13th to register. To find your polling site. So those of you who want to know, obviously some of our polling sites, early vote is different from the polling site on election day. So make sure that you check your polling site before you go and vote. Obviously, we want you to vote early. Early voting starts on June 13th. So please look up your polling sites because it will be different. It should be different than your polling site for the actual election day. And you can go, there's a website, vote.nyc/find your poll site. /find your poll site, and that will give you your poll site for where you are to find your early voting and election day polling place. Note that your early voting polling place, like I said, could be different from your election day polling place, so please make sure that you check that as well. When can I vote early in the election? So we stated early voting starts on Saturday, June 13th, and election day again is Tuesday, June 23rd. Here's everything that we should know about voting early and also voting by mail. What's on my ballot? Neither major party candidate for governor of New York is facing a primary challenge, so they will not be on the ballot for the primaries. The Democratic incumbent Kathy Hochul will go head-to-head with Republican Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman in the November general election. In the race for state controller, Democratic incumbent Thomas DiNapoli is facing a primary challenge for the first time since 2007. His opponents are Raj Goyal and Drew Warshaw. And Representative Nydia Velasquez, who has served in Congress since 1993, will not seek re-election for the 7th congressional district, which includes parts of Brooklyn and Queens. But among the candidates looking to fill her seat include Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, State Assemblywoman Claire Valdez, and Queens Councilwoman Julie Wong. In the 10th Congressional District, current incumbent Representative Dan Goldman is facing a battle with former City Controller Brad Lander. This district includes parts of Brooklyn and Manhattan. Representative Gerald Nadler, who has also been in Congress since 1992, he's also retiring from his seat in the 12th Congressional District, which covers the Upper East and West Sides and much of Midtown. There's a lengthy list of candidates who are vying to replace him, but we want you also to know, I have lost that. Okay, but yes, we want you to know that there's a lengthy list of candidates that are vying to take his spot. So if you live in Upper East or West Sides of Manhattan, you will be voting to replace Jerry Nadler. Do I need an ID to vote? Who wants to answer that question? Yes. If you're registered to vote and provided ID when you registered, guess what? You do not need an ID or any other documentation when you go vote, according to New York State law. So if you already provided your ID, they should have an image of it. When you go to vote, they will just ask you your name, they will pull it up, they will confirm that this is you, and then you would check the box and go and vote. Okay? The online application allows residents to register to vote for the first time, to change the name or the address on their voter registration, or become a member of a political party, or to change their political party membership. If you have a valid New York State driver's license, a permit, or non-driver ID, you'll be directed to use the New York State DMV's electronic voter registration application. This is if you are applying for the first time to register to vote. You also must be, how old to register? 18 years old. By the end of this year, not currently be in prison for a felony conviction, not claim the right to vote anywhere else, and not be found to be incompetent by the court, which means that you are mentally deranged or ill. So if you have any of that documentation, you will be excluded or not allowed to vote. According to the state of New York, also, a person who is convicted of a felony is allowed to vote once they're released, even if they are on parole or have a term of post-release supervision. So this is very important. A lot of people, especially with criminal records, feel that they can't vote or that they are not applicable to vote, and that's not the case. So they have to have been released from prison in order for them to be able to vote. But that, just because they serve time, does not eliminate them or disqualify them from being able to vote. So please make sure when you're having these conversations, the right information is being circulated, because a lot of these people, a lot of people have questions, and a lot of times they give the wrong information if you don't know. Yes, Mr. Ernest Waters.
If the person had filled out to vote, how would they know if they was in prison or not?
If a person what?
If they filled out the papers in time to do voting, how would they know if they had been in prison or not?
What do you mean, how would they know?
Because
There's a record of you.
No. See, if the person was in prison and he got out, you said that he's able to vote. So now, if he didn't register, if he registered in time, how would they know whether he was in prison or not?
Can I answer that?
When you're released from prison, they give you discharge papers.
So when you're released from prison, they give you discharge
And
papers?
you can use your ID, your jail ID, or whatever logo that coincide, they give you all of that to you.
And you can use that documentation to vote.
register.
Any questions on that? Yes, sir.
To register.
Yes, you can.
Can vote. So you're on the vote. You can vote. Yes, you can vote. You just cannot be in prison serving a felony convictions. So this excludes everything else. So you're not serving a felony sentence or a felony conviction, you also are eligible to vote, right? Okay, so this is very important. This is important information. So I'm glad that we have questions, because I want us to be in line with what we are telling folks and how we're answering questions. Can I take time off to work? To vote. Can I take time off work to vote? New York State law mandates that voters with certain schedules that conflict with polling location hours get 2 hours of paid time off. If they do not have a location open 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in their work vicinity. So I work in Times Square. My polling site is in Brooklyn. I can take 2 hours to go vote, because I live in Brooklyn, but I work in Times Square. So technically, by law, I can take 2 hours to go vote and come back to work. 2 hours. You get paid time off to go vote. Make sure y'all understand and know that information is very important. Yes, it's big. So no excuse, I have to work, I can't vote. Well, you get 2 hours of paid leave time to be able to go and vote. All right? Any questions on that? Voting early by mail. So registered voters are now allowed to obtain early mail voting ballots by applying to the City Board of Elections, thanks to the New York Early Mail Voter Act. So we thank God for legislation, right?
Yeah.
All registered voters are eligible to apply for an early mail ballot. Applications submitted by mail need to be received by your county board of elections no later than 10 days before the election, not 10 days before early voting starts, 10 days before the actual election, which is June 23rd. So 10 days before that is the 13th. Also the last day that you can register, also the day that early voting starts. So June 13th is a very important date, right? Okay. To apply virtually, you can also do that. Voters can go to the online ballot request application, and the last day to apply online is also June 13th. June 13th is also the last day an in-person application can be received, which we stated. And the last day to mail an early mail ballot or to submit a mail ballot in person, is Tuesday, June 23rd. So if you mail your ballot on election day. It must be postmarked by the 23rd and received by Tuesday, June 30th in order for your vote to count. Okay? Another big piece of information. How do I apply for an absentee ballot? So the last day to apply for an absentee ballot online or by mail is guess what date? June 13th. The last day to apply in person at your county board of elections is guess what? June 13th. To find the New York State absentee ballot applications, they have them in English and Spanish, and you can visit the city's website or the state's website and just download it from there to fill in your absentee ballot application. Okay, any questions about absentee ballots? Obviously, who qualifies for an absentee ballot? So according to the City and State Board of Elections, the following groups of registered voters qualify. So you must be absent from New York City on the election days. You can be a member of the military service, serving in the military, or of course, taking a leave of absence from your job. You can also apply for absentee ballot. Big news too. Okay, and what if you requested an early mail or an absentee ballot, but you also want to vote at the polls? So let's say you've applied for your absentee ballot, but you figured, hey, I'm actually going to be in town on election day, I want to vote in person instead. You can do that, but you will be given an affidavit ballot instead of being able to use a polling machine. So we don't want you to get discouraged. If they give you an affidavit ballot when you get there to vote, it just means that you had applied to fill out an absentee ballot, that you had stated that you wasn't going to be in town, and so you apply for that ballot, but they still will let you vote, you just have to fill out a different form.
What if you go like college in another town?
Yes, same thing, absentee ballot, you can fill out absentee ballot and vote that way, yes.
What happened to the people that's in the hospital or bedridden?
What about it?
How can they vote? Or can they vote?
You can go online and you can fill out that absentee ballot. There are different ways. If you're actually bedridden, you can't go to the polls, you can fill out the absentee ballot as well. There are different regulations that they're gonna ask you prompts when you fill it out, so you just let them know what your situation is, and you should be able to vote there. Yes?
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's one of the things that these candidates do not do. They do not utilize nursing homes or hospitals and seek support there, and that's a huge number of senior population.
They can
that
still
they're
vote.
supporting. And, because I brought that up in the presidential election, that we need those votes, and we need people to volunteer to go in there to help the seniors that are bedridden or not be able to help them vote.
That's a really, really good point. Thank you so much for bringing that up. It's a very, very big point, and yes, they are definitely, those in the hospital or those in nursing homes are not excluded from being able to vote. They can also vote. So Ms. Pennell really brought up a good point that we need to do a lot more efforts to make sure that we're galvanizing those votes in that demographic as well. Any more questions about that? Okay, now what happens if I'm turned away at the poll? There are a few reasons why you could arrive at your polling place and be told you can't vote. Poll workers cannot help, contact or visit your local elections office for you, but they will tell you what to do and as to why you can't vote or what's going on with your situation as to why you can't vote. Who can I call if poll workers or others are obstructing me from voting? If you face issues at the polls that can't be solved by calmly and clearly communicating with poll workers on the ground, you have several options. There are government agencies that can help you exercise your right to vote. You can call the New York Election Hotline. There's the U.S. Department of Justice Voting Rights Hotline, and I have all this information if you want it. But then also there's coalitions like NAN. You can call National Action Network. Let us know that you're being turned away from voting, and we'll get right on the case and get you help right away. But these are definitely things that you can utilize at your easy disposal to make sure that you are not turned away, to make sure that you are not discouraged from voting, and to make sure that your vote matters, because it always does. Can I bring my dog or my cat to a polling station? Pet owners are generally discouraged from bringing their pets or animals to the polls unless they help with the accessibility. So Marcazile, you can go with Mama to vote. Marcazile's afraid of dogs. And so there's no dogs allowed in unless it's a circus dog. Any questions on the information that we have brought forward today? Again, it's necessary for us to have these important conversations in our community. I know I have conversations all the time, but we should be encouraging people in our community to vote. We have information, we have all the questions. If you need answers, we have them. But make sure that you're having the conversations and that you're encouraging people to vote, 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 and vote. We really need to up the ante in our voting, and we want everyone to be encouraged to do so. Thank you so much, everyone.
What's up, lady that was on Monday about voting, so thank you for that. Dominic Sharp and the illustrious Dominic Sharp doing the information that was very long and give a glad because we are in the season, the voting season that is. So let us be steadfast with emanating information about voting in New York State and all over the nation. Pertaining to my reading, the article I presented tonight is titled Supreme Court Allows Brian Flores to Sue NFL for Discriminating Against Black Coaches. It is stated as fact by Pastor Shelton that Brian Flores is friend to name and was previously honored by National Action Network. So amen for that, and thank you to you, brother Brian Flores, for standing around pertaining to the premise involved in the class action lawsuit article divulges some detail about. The article starts by stating the Supreme Court declined to take up an appeal from the National Football League in a class action lawsuit from Brian Flores and other black coaches who had claimed racial discrimination. By passing on the appeal, the court's decision leaves in place an appeals court ruling that allows the lawsuit to go to trial and rejected an effort by the league to force Flores into arbitration. Flores, who is currently the defense coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, was previously a coach with the New England Patriots, the Miami Dolphins, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. He sued the league in year 2022. His claims were of systemic racism when it came to the hiring and promotion of black coaches. Now, I know some of this information may have been presented to me in the audience in the past. Stay with me as I'm reading, and keep in mind that the Supreme Court, as mentioned when I stated the title, they allowed Brian Flores to sue NFL for discriminating against black coaches. And there was some mention in brevity about that. So the NFL sought to force Flores and two other coaches into arbitration and out-of-court legal process to resolve disputes viewed as less favorable to plaintiffs. But the New York-based Second U.S., that's the United States, Circuit Court of Appeals in February balked at the effort, allowed Flores to take his claims against the league to court. And that is one of the important details the article mentions. The article also goes on to state Flores won in the appeals court based on how the NFL structures its arbitration requirements. It designates the league commissioner, Roger Goodell, as the default arbitrator. The Second Circuit Court said that arrangement provided, quote, for arbitration in name only, end quote. So y'all can Google that if you like, let me know what what you come up with, if you want to come up to the microphone and speak. The article goes on to say United States U.S. Circuit Judge Jose Cabranes, nominated to the bench by President Bill Clinton, wrote that the NFL's process, quote, fails to bear even a passing resemblance, end quote, of traditional arbitration procedures. And that's very important as we designate in our mind pertaining to appropriateness and ethicality involved with assessing what would be appropriate moving forward to assert whether or not the claims identified in the class action lawsuit should be remedied with specific remedies. Perhaps some of our esquires would like to approach the microphone at the end and maybe say something intuitive about that. Yet the article goes on to state, quote, it contractually provides for no independent arbitral forum, no bilateral dispute resolution, and no procedure. The article says, Cabranes wrote, instead, he said it, quote, offends basic presumptions of our arbitration jurisprudence, and by submitting Flores' claims to the discretion of one of his opponents in the case, the NFL. Quote, an employer, whether a professional sports league, restaurant, retail store, or otherwise, cannot force employees to arbitrate statutory employment discrimination claims before the employer's own chief executive, end quote. Flores' attorney told the Supreme Court. The article has some end readings, I'll read the end tail. It mentioned, but the NFL told the justices in its appeal that the appeals court ruling would give judges, quote, free floating discretion, and quote, to invade such free floating discretion may be appropriate, but the article reveals invalidation of the arbitration requires base measurements. Those measurements mentioned are solely on their subjective determinations. The article goes on to state some of the procedures are unfair. The article mentions that the NFL said, pertaining to the procedures, they undermine the very predictability and uniformity. The article says they undermine uniformity. They undermine the very predictability and uniformity that federal arbitration law requires. The conservative Supreme Court has repeatedly beefed up the ability of companies to enforce arbitration agreements. Is the end of the article's last sentence, and keeping that in mind and understanding we're making our statements at the microphone, hopefully unilaterally to create change that will be a greater change for the nation. If anyone would like to approach the microphone and answer, do y'all feel that the Supreme Court, quote, bypass, as I will call it, end quote, to the appeals division court is appropriate, and why? Do y'all also have anything to say about any other particular ways that a ruling could have been made favorably to the plaintiff and how that would be deserving? So if anyone wants to approach the microphone, you can answer that, or you can choose to potentially propose another response to something that potentially would be similar but not exact to that ask. My mind is a little boggled right now, trying to figure out exactly what was going on with the NFL. I haven't read a lot of the details of the class action lawsuit and some of the assertions thereof. So if no one wants to approach the microphone, it will be duly noted. And I believe Maurice, Brother Maurice, you'll be coming to present your information. Okay.
Thank you for that, Dan. And I'll say a little bit of something about arbitration claims. That was what that article was about. It's an arbitration claim. Now, when you have a job or you're filling out paperwork for something important, you always have to pay attention to if there's an arbitration claim. Because a lot of times, once you sign off and say, okay, well, I give up the right to go to court, then you're forced to arbitrate. And these arbitration clauses, sometimes they call them like forced arbitration and stuff like that. You could be signing up for a job in New York and you didn't read the clause, and it says mandatory arbitration in Alaska if you got a problem. And a lot of people don't read that, you just sign off, and then when you want to sue your job, you realize, wait a second, I gotta go to Alaska to litigate? And then the arbitrator could be your cousin's boss. And there's nothing you can do about it once you signed on and agreed to that. So you have to be careful. If it's something important like a job or something that really matters, then don't just sign it without looking at it. Read what it says, especially if it says arbitration. If it's what a lot of people sign up, what's up, Mrs. Wale?
So you saying that Fernandez he wants to sue the courts because black coaches are being discriminated against.
Right.
And he signed something that should be signed.
They wanted to make him do mandatory arbitration, but he was arguing, I guess, that the arbitrators would not be fair and impartial because they're basically affiliated with the people that he wants to sue.
Okay.
And the Supreme Court, a broken clock is right twice a day. They finally decided to pivot on something that matters because I guess they don't want the whole world to be in an uproar over all the nonsense they've already done. So they gave us one. They didn't care too much about this one. They let him go forward with his suit. It's still not that great in my opinion, so we still need to be on the lookout for him. All right, and that's what I'll say about Dan's article. Thank you, that was a good article. And now, I'm gonna move on to my article. So I'm discussing redistricting in southern states and how it has led to pronounced voter confusion. That's right, the South is rising again with their voter nonsense. All right, several southern states delayed primary elections for redistricting after the Supreme Court weakened the Voting Rights Act. Now, we all know about that Kelly's decision, heard about it a bunch of times, how it weakened Section 2. So here's the fallout from that. Redistricting efforts in Alabama, Louisiana, and Tennessee have disrupted elections and voting with maps that are repeatedly redrawn. Racial gerrymandering has been a major concern with judges ruling against redrawn maps that disproportionately impact minority voters. And candidates and voters are left in limbo as the legal battles over redistricting continue, causing logistical nightmares and voter confusion. So this is exactly what they kind of wanted. I'm going to break down 3 specific states and the nonsense that's going on in those states. And then I'm going to give you guys my overall analysis of what I think about this situation as a whole. So the first one is Alabama. So the Alabama voters are among those who understandably are confused about what the redistricting effort means for their vote. So it's not surprising. After the Supreme Court gutted Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, Alabama moved to revive a map that was previously found to be racially gerrymandered. So what does that mean? It means that they went to court over this issue already. They had a map, and the court said that this map is racist. It's disenfranchising black people, and it's intentionally designed to do so. So you cannot use it. But what did that Section 2 voting rights decision do? It said, well, no, the standards that we were using before to judge stuff as racist no longer apply. You need more proof, more evidence. You basically need people to write down that I am going to be racist with this, sign a confession, and mail the confession out, and have proof that there's a confession that they meant to be racist. Otherwise, they're just going to let the racism fly. Okay? So the state legislature passed a bill allowing Governor Kay Levy to delay primary elections in districts that will be impacted by the redistricting effort. Right? Alabama's redistricting effort hasn't gone smoothly. as a panel of federal judges once again ruled that the map is still a blatant racial gerrymander. So they sent this back to the lower court, who said it was racist in the first place, and the lower court said, yeah, no, we're gonna say it with our chest, it's still racist. We're not voting that this map is not racist, because it's so racist that it's intentionally designed to disenfranchise black Alabama voters. So even under the weakened Voting Rights Act, and Alabama's Attorney General now intends to bring the map before the Supreme Court, which only 3 years ago ruled that the map was a racial gerrymander. So this got to the Supreme Court 3 years ago. And this same Supreme Court said that it was a racial gerrymander. So now the article says, let's see if they keep that same energy. Now we know they're not going to keep that same energy. This Supreme Court is a problem, and I'll get back to them later in the article. But just remember I said that. They are a problem that we are going to be forced to deal with one way or another. Now, the redistricting efforts in Alabama have caused several candidates to reorient their campaigns and introduce themselves to voters in new districts. So this radical random redistricting that's happening as a result of all of these funny decisions is making it so bad that candidates don't know which district they're going to run in. So they spent a whole lot of time reaching out to people in one section of the populace, assuming that's where they're going to be represented. And now they have to refocus their campaign on other districts that they didn't initially reach out to or plan to. So it's throwing a monkey wrench in things. Now there's a quote from someone here. It says, as a person that's new to politics, this is my first campaign I've ever been in. The person's name is Austin Sidwell, a Republican candidate running for Alabama mobile-based 1st Congressional District, told the Hill. I don't think there's been very many that have seen the district and the candidate list change 3 times throughout the campaign, really in about a 3-week period. So the district changed 3 times in 3 weeks. Can you imagine how tough that would be as a candidate? You're running in a specific district, and then they're telling you, no, your district is here this week. Next week, oh, no, we meant your district is over there. Oh, no, we meant your district is over there. Imagine how tough that is for black voters to have to deal with that.
Wow.
Right? All right, so what's absurd about Alabama's elections is that the map hasn't been approved. So candidates and voters are essentially in limbo while they wait to see the outcome. I can't think of a more textbook example of voter disenfranchisement. Right, now let's move on to Louisiana. The state responsible for the Voting Rights Act being gutted in the first place. It had one of the more egregious responses to the ruling. So in Louisiana, early voting was already underway in the state's primaries when the ruling was announced. That didn't matter to Governor Jeff Landry, who abruptly canceled the elections so that new maps could be drawn. So the Supreme Court is saying, well, this judging these maps as racist and stuff like that, we need to use a new rubric, right? So I guess in their analysis, they assume that we're past all of this intentional discrimination and that these things are not going to matter. But what's the first thing that this state does? And this is one of the suspect states why the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act was created in the first place, right? They go right back to discrimination. He's putting an election aside that has already started so that he could redraw a map to intentionally disenfranchise black people. How did we get here? We got here because people fell asleep at the wheel. In this democracy that we have, it's 99 days for the bandit and 1 day for the watchman, right? When they lose an election, Republican, Confederate, KKK, racist, when they lose an election, they plot, they plan, they strategize, they wait for you to fall asleep at the wheel so that they can slip in while you're not paying attention. And then once they get their foot in the door, they put their foot on your neck and they do not take it off. Once they got those justices on the Supreme Court, it was inevitable that this would happen. We allowed Donald Trump to get voted in an election where we're like, well, we're not feeling the woman candidate. We're not feeling this one. Or we like his swagger or just something stupid. You think he's just going to be a fly-by-night president. How bad could he be, right? And then God taught you guys a lesson. The constellations aligned both times when he got in, right? A Supreme Court justice dies here. He gets another opportunity to nominate another one. And before you know it, Confederate law law is becoming the majority law on the court. That's where we are. And it's all because of people who did not vote. People who stayed on the couch. The no check, no vote people. People with stupid ideologies that just discourage people from voting. We have to be engaged in the process, and we have to stay engaged even when we get back our rights and even when we get back to the top. All right? Because it's always going to be 99 days for the watchman, 1 day for the bandit. It doesn't matter if they're wearing white hoods at one point in time, or they switch to MAGA hats, or they're wearing Confederate, whatever. It's the same struggle. It continues. It's a continuation. We have to continue protecting the rights that we have fought to obtain. All right? So, them throwing out the votes resulted in 40,000 votes being tossed out, with voters expressing feelings of disenfranchisement and confusion as to why their votes didn't count. The state passed a new map last month, eliminating one of Louisiana's majority black districts. So the last-minute redistricting efforts have left voters in both states unsure of which district they're in now and who's running to represent them. Now think about how unfair that is. You have to vote. You don't understand which district you're in. You're just completely confused about who's going to be representing you. And they're just throwing out your votes left and right. I can't think of a worse state, and this is exactly why we needed Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act in the first place. But I digress. All right, so voter confusion is why the Supreme Court blocked a lower court's ruling last year that Texas engaged in a racial gerrymander through its redistricting effort. So according to the Supreme Court, here's the Supreme Court logic that we're dealing with. Blocking a map 6 months before an election is to take place causes far more confusion than canceling primaries, throwing out thousands of votes just to draw a new, more racist map. All right, you guys get that? So when the map did not benefit them, they blocked the map 6 months before the election and said, oh, no, it's too close to the election, you can't do this. But now when the map benefits the racists who want to disenfranchise black people, they are saying, no, we can throw out thousands of votes just to draw a new, more racist map while the election has already started. And that's where we're at. And that's why it's so important to vote, to not be in this situation, to not let certain people get in positions that they're gonna hold for life. Because now our recourse is to take back the House, take back the Senate. When we have the trifecta and we have the president, we are going to have to petition Congress to create more seats on the Supreme Court so that we can balance them out. Otherwise, we're gonna always have this problem. It will always be an unbalanced court that will be going against the will of the populace and creating laws and rules that nobody wants and that don't help society. All right, so there's a similar confusion among voters in Tennessee after the state legislature hastily moved to eliminate the state's only majority black district. This greatly impacted Tennessee's state rep Justin Pearson's district and his congressional campaign, as he resides in the state's new 5th congressional district, but is running for the newly drawn 9th congressional district. While Pearson told The Hill that the redistricting effort has caused some degree of confusion, it also had the unintentional effect of firing up voters. So again, even right now, all of this redistricting that they're doing and this changing of landscapes and stuff like that is not necessarily to win this particular election. They know that they're going to lose the House. They know all of that. What they're planning for, they're playing, once again, the long game. They're waiting until this election is over and we're back and you forget that, oh yeah, we won, so we're high off the victory. And you don't realize that, yeah, you're high off the victory, but you no longer have congressional black districts that are designed to protect your vote. So when people get complacent again and start sitting on the couch, you are in a way worse position than you were in before when we had black districts, because you will no longer, as a community, be able to pick the person who will represent your community. So your community will be 85% black, and the black people in that community will not be able to elect their own leader. You will have other people's votes deciding who is in charge of you. And none of us are better off being in that position. All right? And that's the sad reality of this. We have to also play the long game. We need to make sure that we are always voting. We need to make sure that we are always standing up for our rights. And we need to make sure that we don't become passive and ride along on the train of this Confederacy. We need to speak out against Donald Trump and his nonsense wherever it appears, whatever state it comes in. We need to stand up to every one of these people that want to set us back and bring us back to the 60s and to the 50s and everything like that. Like Kamala said, we're not going back, all right? We're going to win this time around, and then we're going to ride that energy to fix all of this nonsense that he set in motion. It doesn't matter how long it takes, we're going to do it. Where there's a will, there's a way, all right? I'm going to end my article right there because I know everybody wants to see the Knicks. No justice, no peace. Let's go Knicks in 4, not in 6. Knicks in 4, not in 6.
Excellent, thank you to our own attorney, Maurice. Thank you also to Dan and to Dominique. That was a lot of information tonight, and thank you all for joining us. Just wanted to answer a question. Ernest was asking about, I think he asked during Dominique's segment. Those in the nursing home who are limited, who cannot get to the voting facility, can definitely request an absentee ballot, and the absentee ballot will be sent to the nursing home, and they can vote. So that is the answer. They can definitely request an absentee ballot, but it has to be enforced in the proper time frame and then sent back in the proper time. All right? And if anybody ever wants a copy of any of the articles that we share, we can definitely email it to you. I can just text you. The link is up to you. Also, remember for next week's Huddle, we have a special presentation about men's mental health, and then we'll be watching the Faith Leaders Forum and Burning Out Sharply together. Also, Juneteenth, there will be a special announcement made, so make sure you listen to the rally if you do not join us at the Saturday Action Rally. But it's going to be a busy weekend, I'll just say that. On the 19th, I know a few people are split because Rebel will be speaking in Queens at the Rock the Blessings concert. It's the gospel concert with all of the gospel greats will be there, young and old. August season will be there, but those tickets are on sale. It's in partnership with Greater Allen Cathedral. Then he's also joining the Carnegie Hall Power Series on Juneteenth, and then that evening we're going to be doing something in Harlem, but again, they're going to announce that themselves. On the 20th will also be a special day, but also the 20th, that afternoon after the rally, will be the All Road to the South Freedom Summer event happening, and our own Maurice is going to be speaking on behalf of the National Network's Huddle. Let's type that up. We'll be out there with one of the partners, and that's going to be out at the Advocate Power State Plaza, the outside plaza, at 1 o'clock. So we definitely, it's free to the public. It's going to be, they're going to take over the whole square. It's going to be fun for Juneteenth weekend. And then, of course, then that Sunday is Father's Day. So we're going to be definitely, that Monday, we're going to be honoring our fathers for Father's Day. And definitely next week, we're going to kick that off because we want our fathers to be prepared. We're going to set up a special photo shoot. If you want to bring your father figure or your fathers to take pictures of it, you can post it professionally on Father's Day. All right? And last but not least, don't forget tomorrow we have a good education workshop and another Amy Bryan at 6:30. And then Mary Pinnell is also having a Golden's event. It's basically about education as well on Friday at Sisters Bookstore uptown. So you can also get information directly from Mary, or you can look on the social media and get it as well. But make sure you support that. And then there's another, I think, Damien sent it to me. You're going back to DC in July.
July 9th to celebrate 14th Amendment.
July 9th.
The 50th anniversary of 9/11.
That's not our amendment. That's right. I'm sure I keep saying that. But July 9th, we're going back to DC with popular democracy, right? All right. So make sure you get the information. We're going to share it again and again. Make sure you get it. Also, Shawana, I want to shout out how she's in the house, Society Choir founder. We had definitely a great forum. This came on supporting the few others. She premiered her documentary trailer, but also make sure you do a lot of important work in the community, not just in the community, nationwide. So make sure you support Silent Cry and Sister Shawana Vaughn. And I just saw Teresa Weatherspoon, the legend, the living legend, just into the building. Let's got her up. Okay, we get off this live stream. And also great always to see Luce in the building. Thank you everybody for joining us, and see you next Monday. We'll let you know if we will not be here. We'll be in the new building. Definitely look to your emails, and I'll send you a text as well if you put your number on the sign-in sheet. All right? Go Knicks. Knicks in 4, 9, and 7 is what we say. May the Lord watch the team. Please stand. Sorry. We got to rush. We're going to rush it. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent, one from another. Amen. Go Knicks. Let's go.
All right, y'all.